Hello and welcome to the RT Development Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Rosignol. I'm excited for today's guest. Today's guest is an RT athlete who's been training with us for the last 4 years or coming up on his fourth offseason. Today's guest is a guy whose path to the big league is anything but ordinary. Michael Petersen, born in Middlesex, England, Michael moved to California when he was 1 year old and grew up in San Jose, eventually pitching at St. Francis High School before heading the junior college route. Drafted multiple times, first in 2012, then again in 2013, 2014, and also again in 2015 where he signed with the Milwaukee Brewers. From there, he spent years grinding through the minors. After undergoing Tommy John surgery in 2021, he returned to the mound, sharpened his craft, and eventually earned a call-up to the Los Angeles Dodgers in the June 2024 and making his MLB debut at age 30. Along the way, he has also represented Great Britain national baseball team, showing the world that talent hustle doesn't come with a deadline. So with that, I'd like to welcome to the show Michael Petersen. Thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We got to see you. I think the year you started was right before you went and played in the World Baseball Classic. It's been awesome to watch you kind of grow the last few years and be a part of your journey.
Yeah, it's been great actually.
It's awesome. Well, today just want to kind of dig into your journey a little bit. Kind of your road to where you are. Obviously, making your big league debut at 30 years old. There was some trials, some tribulations going through. It wasn't just a clear path, and it's awesome that you've stayed with it, stuck through it, and grinded through, just the minor leagues and all the other stuff that comes with it. And so to say, I know the journey wasn't easy, but you stuck with it, and now you can say you're a big leaguer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny because, like, at the time, I never really thought about it because it's something that I enjoy. Like, if you're doing something that you love, I don't think you put, like, a timeline on it. And so going through all of that, I was like, okay, it's just a part of it. And then when it finally happened, I was like, oh, man, that wasn't really how it was supposed to go, but it's how it went, and it works.
Hey, it works. So I'm gonna go back a little bit. I have twins myself. As a dad, you're a twin. Just kind of growing up. What was that like having a twin brother? Were you guys competing all the time? Were you guys in the same sports? What kind of stuff did you guys do, or did you guys compete at all?
Yeah, no, competed in everything. It was extremely fun because I always had a friend, someone to work out with, someone to do something with, even if it wasn't necessarily. I think things have changed a lot where kids are actually getting into great training facilities. When I was growing up, that wasn't really a thing. But I always had, I'm going to go play basketball. I can play against my brother. I can play with my brother. I'm going to go play baseball. I have a person I can play catch with. And when we were younger, we always threw pretty hard. And so no kids would want to catch us. But I was used to catching my brother, and he was used to catching with me. So it was like, it was never a concern. It was just, okay, we're going to be catch play partners. I always had somebody that would – it was never like competition, butting heads. It was more like friends playing together and like growing up and, oh, how did you learn that new pitch? Oh, I want to try that. Or, hey, you're beating me at this in basketball. Why? And it was like, oh, well, I'm fading this way and you can't reach. And, yeah, it was always helpful.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think always have that little someone who's there pushing you all along the way is definitely going to be helpful. You're not a small guy by any means, 6'7". And did you play any other sports, basketball, or anything growing up?
Yeah, just basketball and baseball. Mom wasn't too fired up on the idea of football, so never got to be the three-sport athlete.
Nice. So did you play basketball the whole time at St. Francis?
I played until my senior year, and ironically enough, was told, hey, don't play your senior year. We're going to need you for baseball. Like, let's focus on that. I did. I don't know. I don't know if I can consider it worked out, but it was a choice. And
sure. So kind of going into that a little bit, you did get drafted out of high school. but didn't end up signing. Do you think playing other sports, one, helped you, and two, going into your senior year, were you gaining a lot of traction? Was a lot of scouts talking to you? What was that process like?
Yeah, I got really, I'll say lucky. My junior year, I didn't play baseball at all. I just played basketball. Our basketball team was really good, and it went very deep into our baseball season. So in the summer, one of our coaches was like, "Hey, if you need to play baseball, you need to get out there." And I started playing with some friends. I was still on the fence about even playing baseball anymore. I was enjoying basketball. I wasn't really enjoying the sport of baseball that much. A buddy got me out, and then a scout had saw. I was like, "Hey, we need you to play on this team so we can kind of see what you're doing." So I kind of started going that route, playing in like whatever tournaments I could find in this weird scout league team with the Brewers. I believe out in UOP. And after that, I came back, and there was like murmurs. I wasn't getting. It's ironic because all I wanted was a college that wanted me. I didn't really care about the draft. My mindset wasn't ever turned to playing professionally. I knew I wanted to do it, but there's like steps you're supposed to take. You're supposed to, at least in my mind at that time, you were supposed to go to a good high school, and you're supposed to go to a good college. You're supposed to play in the College World Series, and you're supposed to go to professional baseball. And so my mind still was stuck on that. So through the fall, I was doing all the stuff I was supposed to. Come season, I just don't pitch. Like I got like 16 innings. When I did pitch, I looked sharp, but it just wasn't. It wasn't enough to get me the opportunity I wanted at the schools I wanted to go to. But because I was a 6'7", lanky, 175 kid throwing pretty hard, scouts were like, "We could take a risk on that. We don't care." So my whole plan right there kind of like deteriorated. I'm like, okay, well now we need to start figuring out what you actually want to do.
So from there, you end up going the JUCO route, and what would you say? How did that shape you to who you are? How did you what did you learn going that route? And um, actually, one other thing, do you think that the JUCO route has helped you kind of through all the time in the minor leagues and things like that? I mean, that's not the D1 route by any means, and so yeah, how do you think JUCO baseball has helped you and helped you kind of develop into who you are?
I think I apologize. I'm cynical, so everything I'm gonna say is gonna sound negative rather than positive. I think both routes have ways to get sunk as a player. I never got to experience a D1 college, but from what I've seen with friends and all that, it's very easy to one. It's hard. Like universities are hard. It's easy to just kind of fade away from baseball because you're just trying to keep school. You're trying to do all this stuff. Whereas in junior colleges, at least my expertise, it's really really easy to get pulled aside because a huge chunk of kids that are at junior college don't want to be there, including your teammates, including kids that aren't your teammates. Um, there are people that are there because they get money for showing up for classes. So they'll show up until they get their paycheck and they leave. You have teammates who say they want to be a Major League Baseball player. They say they want to go to college. They say they want to do this stuff, but they don't go to classes. They flunk out. They're going to be telling you to go and do whatever you want to do. And so going through that experience, one of the big parts I do think my St. Francis education was that I was actually a good student. So the classes wasn't the hard part. The hard part was ignoring the teammate saying, "Hey man, Friday we're all gonna drive to Santa Cruz," or "Hey man, Thursday let's go do this instead of going to class," or after class, "Hey, I got this going on." I'm not saying that doesn't exist, and I'm not saying I didn't partake. It was just knowing when to pick your times, and that I think is extremely hard. And it helped me throughout my rest of my career. Is okay, you're gonna need to learn when to pick your times because there's always an avenue for not getting the work done. There's always a way to not do it, and there's always a way to make you feel good about it until you finally completely fail out of what you're trying to achieve. So yeah, I guess that's what it kind of prepared me for.
Sure. And I mean, yeah, with anything, you have to make choices. And no matter what, there's gonna be some sort of consequence with it, right? And it's not necessarily consequence in a bad way or good way, but if you choose to go hang out with your friends or do something and not get your work done, there's the consequences of you not developing or getting better. And so, and to get to where you are and get to make the strides that you're making, you have to make sacrifices that sometimes leave you even maybe doing something you don't even want to do. Like you probably do want to go hang out with your friends. You probably want to go, hang out at the beach. But knowing that what you what your ultimate goal is a little bigger than that little bit of fun that you want to go achieve. And I think in general, and something when I'm talking to especially young guys, like it's really easy to do, especially like early off season, you're motivated. You're like, oh, I really want to make these changes, blah, blah, blah. But then, it comes down to your fifth day in a row of working out and you're been just kind of grinding through the off season. Now that motivation is not necessarily there anymore. It's more like, okay, do you have the discipline and understand what you have to do? And if you have the discipline, those are the guys that keep pushing through and getting to where they want versus the guys who just are relying on that little bit of motivation for that little bit of time are the ones who end up fizzling out.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And like you said, it's easy. It sounds counterintuitive, but it's easy when you don't get your D1 scholarship to say, I'm going to show them. It's easy, like your first day in the off season, you still feel good and you go, I'm going to lift. I'm going to get so strong. But when it's 3 months in and you haven't got a phone call yet, or when it's 3 months in and you're like where's my scholarship? Where's my this? Or you're not seeing the returns you thought you should see by now, it's impossible. Or even man, today coming in, I was cold. I didn't want to do anything. My body's beat up. I'm sore. Just had a weekend of Thanksgiving food and festivities. It's like I could have taken it off. There's plenty of people that are out hunting or doing whatever they're doing, not coming in, and it's like, yeah, but I personally I lose sleep when I don't do something that is for my career. Like if you're sitting there knowing that people are passing you by every single day, and it's like, even the junior college route, like if you don't have a certain hunger, and I'm not saying it's like every single day you can't have fun. I'm not saying you can't go and enjoy it, but like if your friends want to go surfing at 10 o'clock in the morning, if you can't say, okay, I'm going to get up at 6 to go get a lift in because I want to enjoy that, it's tough. It's tough. And people do it. There are plenty of guys who get by on crazy athletic ability. I've had crazy athletic ability. It got me to a fair amount, but it didn't get me everywhere. There are guys who will do it. I've seen guys in the major leagues that do not work as hard as you think they should because they are just skilled. They have a glove that is unbelievable. They have bat to ball skills that are just unbelievable. And those guys are blessed, but not the amount of people that are blessed to do that is 0.000001%.
Yeah.
Like,
no, absolutely. I think, and I mean, talking about the JUCO route, and then this will be pretty much the last of that. And I think it's at all levels, but I think there's guys at the JUCO level. I think they go to the JUCO level. Oh, it's just going to be easy. It's not really serious baseball, and they're just going to kind of go out there and just have fun and just kind of play. And I think you realize really fast. Well, you have those guys. There's always going to be those guys on the team, and then there's the guys who like actually grind through it and fight through it, and then those are the guys who are going out and having success, one, and then two, getting those opportunities. And if you go into JUCO and are very serious about the work and you make the sacrifice that you need to make, like those guys do end up going to where they want to go and have the success and get the results that they're looking for. But you do have to not fight in terms of like learn to ignore those guys that are there just because they think it's fun to keep playing and not let them kind of bring you down.
yeah, it's 100% correct. I played with guys who didn't necessarily have the skill compared to other guys that I'd been with, and they got to go play D1 college baseball. They got to go play at the North Ridges, at the UNRs, at even like San Jose State's Cal, whatever, where it was like they didn't necessarily, they were good. I don't like the whole they didn't have the skill. They had the skill. Anyone that's playing at these levels are good at baseball. But you're 100% right. The issue with junior college baseball is there's a huge chunk that are just like, I have to be here and it's fun to play baseball. I enjoyed it in high school. I'm going to keep playing until they take my glove. And it's like, dude, you're in the way. Don't get brought down by that person. Even if you don't have the skill, even if you look and you go, oh man, I'm not playing my first year, my second year, all this. Teams still want to find that guy. And if you are busting your butt every day and you're playing, maybe it isn't the pros, but maybe it's a free education. You don't have to have $130,000 of debt. Like maybe it is the pros. Maybe you don't end up going out and they say, hey, we may not give you $1 million contract, but we'll give you a shot. And it's not because you had a 100-mile-an-hour fastball or you hit 600 home runs. It was, they asked, who is reliable? Who can we just trust to get the job done? And they'll be like, yeah, our second baseman. He shows up every single day. He works his butt off every single day. He may not be the most talented, but he's not going to make a mistake, and he's going to play exactly what you expect. And that goes a shockingly long way.
Sure, absolutely. So, you were drafted 3 times before the 4th time that you finally signed. What made that time the right time?
It wasn't. I actually turned that one down, and I was taking a summer course. I was playing in the Northwoods at the time and had finally gotten the scholarship I was chasing. It was to Ohio State. That's the school I wanted to go to. I was never really necessarily I want to go to a baseball school kid. I just wanted to go to a fun college. I wanted to go to a college that I could play baseball, that I could be proud to have the license plate around, which all sounds really dumb. And mind you, I understand it was dumb. But that was just my mindset. It was, I'll be proud to say I went to this college, I will play, and then my next step will happen. Well, I had to drive back from Michigan to California to take a summer class to get into that, into Ohio State. The course was an accelerated, 4 hours a day, every single day course. And the teacher had told us, if you're late, you're going to get docked. And if you're late and if you miss a certain amount of time before the class starts, it's an auto failure out because the class is just too accelerated. But that's not a problem for me. I actually really enjoyed the way the class was taught. Well, one morning I wake up. It was at Foothill. I was living in Saratoga. I wake up, get on the freeway, sitting in traffic. Well, that's weird, but it'll pass. Turns out there was a car crash right at the exchange. I didn't know this. I can't move. And so the time's just ticking and ticking. I'm calling, I'm emailing, trying to tell this guy, look, I'm late. It's not my fault. There's a crash. I can't fail this class. Teacher at first stonewalls me. He's like, you heard the rules. It's an auto fail. And I was like, I'm sending him emails telling him that I have a scholarship, because in his defense, the amount of kids that are at a junior college just to be there is shockingly high. So it's I'm not going to waste my time on someone that's not giving me effort. But then I finally got through to him. I was doing extremely well in the class. I had one of the highest scores in the class, and he was like, look, I'm not going to auto fail you. It's not fair. Just come and get the notes from somebody. You can just go home. I just read the news. You're right. There was a car crash. It's not your fault. And that rush of oh man, my life is over, to okay, everything's still back on track. I'm still stuck in my car, and all this emotions coming to me of I'm never going to play baseball. The 3 years prior that I was drafted, I didn't pitch very much. I didn't play much. And so I was oh my goodness, what happens if I go to Ohio State and I fail a class? It's my first time at a big school. It's my first time at a D1. What happens if I'm partying and I'm being dumb and I don't pass class? What happens if I get injured? What happens if any of this happens and I'm the guy at the corner bar telling all the people, oh, I got drafted 4 times. I'm like, yeah, sure you did, old man. I'm like, I can't be that guy. And so I ended up calling my advisor at the time, and I was like, I think I'm going to sign. He calls back and goes, hey, here's what they're going to offer you, which was not very much. And I was like, well, I can't sign for that. And he's like, well, that's what they're going to offer you, so either pick it or don't. And I remember calling the scout back, didn't talk to my agent about it. I'm just going to talk to him. And I was like, hey, I think I'm going to sign, but I can't sign for that. And he goes, what will you sign for? And I kind of just blurted out a number. And he was like, you're kidding, right? Yeah, fine. And I was like, wait, what? And he was like, yeah, we're good. And I was like, he's like, we'll send you paperwork. And because he knew that I was definitely froggy and I wasn't going to sign, he goes, do you have a fax machine? I'm like, no. And he goes, we're going to fax it to you right now. Just sign it. Like, just sign the paperwork. We don't care how you do it. Sign it, take a photo of it, do something. Because he just wanted my name on the piece of paper. So I ended up going to like a FedEx, signing, get off the highway, do this. I don't think I even talked to my family about it. I finally called my dad after. I'm like, yeah, I think I just signed. Uh, so yeah, not the way I planned it.
Well, it's a good story, and so and it's worked out. But kind of like now moving through into your minor league journey, you spent a long time in the minors, and you've had you've gone through injuries, things like that. Can you just walk us through what's kept you going through the grind, mentally and physically? How that's been?
It's been tough. Actually, you know what? Most of it's been easy. The hardest year I had was my second full year with the Brewers. I was still a starter at the time, and they had sent me back to short season. The first short season year, I got hurt, so I pitched like half a season. Second short season year, I'm pitching. It numbers wise terrible, but compared to everyone else on my team, average. The average ERA for that Helena team at the time was like an 8, and I was pitching at a beautiful 7. So pretty stock, terrible baseball. And I got passed over for getting moved up halfway through by a kid who was pitching at a 10 clip. And I was like, okay. I didn't even get mad because I'm not that kind of person. I'm like, hey, you made your decision. What set me off was I come into the clubhouse the next day, and they call me into the office, and they're like, hey, we just want to talk to you and see how you're feeling. And I was like, what? Why? And they're like, like, you probably thought that should have been you, and like guys thought about it too, but like we just didn't know if you were going to stay healthy. And I was like, all right, well, since you're asking the questions, I'm going to unload. And I ended up kind of going off. I was like, I haven't been injured this whole season. They're like, no, you haven't. And I was like, well, how can I prove that I'm not going to get injured by just not getting injured? And they were like, but the load up like at the higher level, it's harder. And I was like, it's the same amount of games. They both finished the same day, so what? Who cares? Anyway, so that was tough. Season ends, and I'm like, I'm going to get released. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't even know if I want to play baseball anymore. Like, I had already set aside, I'm like, I'm going to go get my teaching credentials, finish my schooling, just be a teacher. I'm okay with this. I can accept it. I don't want to do this anymore. I remember waking up one morning, I was just going to the gym with my dad, and I was like, you know what? And I think I had like made it through a couple of days where I was expecting to get released and it just hadn't happened yet. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I just come in and surprise somebody? Like, why don't I just come in crazy strong? Do what I need to do and like actually push it? And that was kind of where my mindset switched in general for baseball, was like, yeah, it's time. It's time. I'm just going to come in, be strong. I'm not going to listen to what it sounds terrible, but I'm not going to listen to what they're saying. I'm not going to listen to all this and that. I'm just going to just do everything in my physical power to be the best player I can be. So at least when I walk off the field, whenever it does happen, I at least could say I was really, really good when I stopped. And so I went into spring training. They didn't tell me I was getting moved to the pen. I just didn't throw in spring. And they're like, yeah, you're in the pen now. And I was like, all right, again, shocked I wasn't canned. Pitched really well that year as like a long relief, which long relief is a dangerous place because you're one bad game from getting canned, but you're also like one good season away from having a shot. And so I was doing that. And like, I'm talking lower levels. I'm not talking big leagues. Lower levels, long relief is not the funnest. So I was doing that. And then they kept bugging me about like, hey, we want to see what you can do as a back-to-back. And I'm like, mind you, this is low A. And I was like, well, I can't do a back-to-back if I throw 4 innings. And they're like, okay. So it started getting bumped to 2. And then it was starting to get bumped to 1. I was pitching like later in games. And then the next season came around. And I was like the closer, set up closer. And I was like, okay, like we're kind of making some moves. This is fun. I still wasn't very good, but my stuff was good enough to keep going. Then I got Rule 5 to the Rockies, and I was like, oh, now we go. This is going to be great. This year is going to be the year of Michael. Thank goodness it was 2020, and COVID hit. And so I ended up sitting out that year. I'm in California. You're not allowed to work out. I'm filling jugs with water trying to get strong. Going to spring training 2021, I'm like, it's still time to go. A couple downers were that the guys who liked me with Colorado that got me over there all either took new jobs or were fired. So I was like, well, that's not great, but okay, they still want me. A week into spring training, my elbow explodes, and so I was like, okay, so that's gonna be another year down and another year. But the blessing in that was that I don't enjoy watching baseball personally. But when you weren't playing, when you were just stuck, it is all you have. And so I was watching it from like a studying aspect. I was watching the game where it was like, why did he throw that pitch? Why didn't he throw this pitch? That swing didn't make sense. Why didn't he try this? And like I'm grabbing baseballs, feeling the hands on it, like just because it was my only way back to the game. All I had was lifting and then going home and sitting in an apartment in Arizona, like losing my mind. And so I started getting focused into it. I started talking to some of my teammates about what they do, what kind of pitches they throw. And as I started throwing, it was like, this ball's jumping out of my hand. What do I have here? And I already had a reignited passion. It just kind of kept clicking up and up and up the more I was playing, which, yeah, ended up kind of working out.
Oh, that's great. I think that's good. And I think kind of tells people, I mean, I think what people see on TV and what actually is happening, kind of like the backfields of the complex and minor leagues and things like that, it's not as exciting, always as exciting as what you see on TV. And the thing, not, I shouldn't, there's a lot more that happens behind the scenes, and there's a lot more that these players go through from a day-to-day thing, and the grind that they go through, the travel, especially before you get to AAA, you're in a bus everywhere you're going, and there's a lot of other little things that you don't realize. And not to bring, like, when I was in pro ball, we had a 24-hour bus ride. I mean, there's little things like that you don't see on TV, that you don't realize what these guys are going through. And so, yeah, there's a lot more that if you can mentally, I think if you get through it mentally, physically, a lot of these guys are all, except for the ones, it's the mental side that brings guys down more than the physical side.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It's tough.
So you get through the COVID year, 2021, TJ, and I think after that year is when you started training us. But what was the toughest part of the rehab?
For me personally, the hardest part wasn't like not playing. I remember my dad asking after it happened. He was like, "So what are you gonna do?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I guess." Well, actually, the first thing I said was it was a fully torn. So like I said, "Can I just keep pitching? It doesn't matter if it's fully torn. I can't tear it more." And they're like, "Yeah, that's not how that works." Which clearly it's not how it works. Then my dad's like, "Are you gonna keep playing?" And I was like, or he's like, "Are you gonna get the surgery?" I'm like, "Well, I have to." And he goes, "Yeah." It was kind of like his way of like, "Are you hanging him up?" And I was like, "Well, I'm definitely not gonna have a blown UCL. Someone's gonna pay to fix that, and if they're gonna pay to fix it, like we'll see." And it was funny. Maybe I was just naive. It never crossed my mind that a team wouldn't like re-sign me. Like I was a free agent at the end of that. I easily could have been canned, but I was like, they're gonna re-sign me because it's just not worth not re-signing me. I don't know why it didn't click where I was like, no, they could easily just send you home. And so they re-signed me. I was getting healthy. That part for me was easy. The idea of like playing was easy. And even the because some of the hardest stuff for guys is you tore it throwing. How in the world do you expect me to do it again? Like, I'm not going to throw a baseball. That hurt. I don't want to do that again. That wasn't the hard part for me. The hard part was the like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it was sitting there watching all my friends that I had played with being in the big leagues, their shots they were getting, and I'm sitting here just losing my mind because it was like, I was fired up for them. Like I said, I don't watch baseball very often, so I turn on a game, all of a sudden, one of the best examples is a buddy of mine, Jose Quaz, who I played with, and he had been released out of low A, and he was like, well, that's it for me. I'm going home and, figuring it out. I also turn on the game, and I see he's pitching for the Cubs and like in crunch time. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Then I see another buddy who's going up a hitter, and I was like, man, he was just struggling, and he's getting this shot. And I'm sitting here, and I was like, I'm still here. I'm still nothing. And as I started throwing, and I'm like, oh, I'm an upper-level guy. I can do this. In the stats, technically, it was like, you're just an old dude who hasn't pitched very high. And I was like, well, that's not fair. And it was just so frustrating because when I got injured, it was the exact age that most players are going up to the big leagues. You're in their 25, 26, 27, like you're big league ready. And I'm sitting there at that age being COVID, sitting on my couch, and then rehab. And they're going, oh, you're behind. I was like, I'm actually not. I just got injured at the worst possible time. And it was just so frustrating because that part was like, I can't turn back the time. I can't take those years back. And after all that happened, the worst part about professional baseball is that it is a sport of what have you done for me lately. It is a sport of new toys. Every year they get 30 new players that they're all excited about. They get their new first rounder and second rounders, and it's so exciting. And if you're a guy or a Rule 5 draft guy, you're a guy they just put on the roster, all this stuff that they're just fired up about, everyone else becomes crack fillers. And when you're sitting here and you went from they went and grabbed you so they're interested to COVID, 2 years injured, the first time they see you is your fourth year with the team. You're not new. I had a very cool coming out party where it was throwing extremely hard for the Great Britain team, but I wasn't a new toy. It was, well, whatever, we can deal with that. And it was just frustrating, like trying to wrap my head around that. And I don't know if I ever necessarily did. That was the toughest part, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think just from seeing guys, talking to guys through the process, I think the two biggest things guys struggle with is one, looking ahead, like, oh, wanted to get back on the field, and I mean, it's a long process. I mean, so the guys who can like really just like take it day by day and do their work and just win today, basically. The ones who, especially mentally, somewhat do the best, right? Mentally it's tough regardless of how, but as long as like you don't look too far ahead, and two, don't get so caught up in or try to limit like, oh, that guy just passed me up, or this, like the guys who can just kind of focus on, there's always going to be that stuff in the back of your head, but at least in the front, like being able to just focus on what they need to focus day to day to win today so they can get back to where they want to get.
Yeah.
So kind of taking that into the next step, and this is, I believe, right when we started training, it was December 2022. Started training with us through someone else that we knew, connected us, came in, started training, throwing bullpens to get ready for Great Britain. So with that, then you played for Great Britain in 2023. What was that experience like? How was it representing your country and the international stage?
It's one of the funnest times I've ever had on a baseball field. I still stand by that. I think it will always be the funnest time I'll ever have on a baseball field. Playing with like a country on your chest is insane. We did our like qualifiers in Germany, which was a lot. It was high stakes, but it wasn't on such a big field. So it felt like I've never played in a World Series baseball game. I hope to soon. But what I would imagine that atmosphere was like, and then especially in the U.S. too, on an actual like World Baseball Classic games and not just the qualifiers, is every single pitch, every single thing matters. You go put up a clean inning, you're so fired up. Not necessarily because you're fired up for yourself. You're fired up because I just helped this team. Like, I did my job. Like, in baseball, it is a job, and you can get lost in that. You can go 4 for 4 and hit 4 home runs and lose the game and be like, well, I did my job. I don't care. When it was the qualifiers and World Baseball Classic, all of it, it was like I might have struck out, but there was a pass ball, and the guy scored, and now we're winning by 1, and I'm fired up. Hey, I didn't pitch very well, but he grounded into a double play. I finished the inning. Life is good. We're still up. Let's go. Like, I remember we lost to the U.S., I don't know, 6-9 or 6-10 or something. But we were so fired up because we just played them tough. And it's like, you don't get that. Like, you don't get that anywhere else. There's never been that feel. I've never had that feeling of just that kind of pride. After winning games, like, we were bouncing off the walls. Coaches, people, like, I mean, legitimate tears. When we first qualified, they were like, this has never happened for us. And guys have been playing this game in Great Britain for longer than I've been alive. And they've tried and they've tried and tried, and they've never been good enough to do that. When we got over that hump, and then when we won, it was like, but when we won the game to keep us from getting relegated, it was like, whoa, this is, you don't understand. You're changing stuff here. And it was just, it's unreal. I recommend anyone that has any lineage to any other country that can do that, please go do it.
That's awesome. In the World Baseball Classic, I want to say against Trout, when you hit 102, or was that Goldschmidt?
Might have been Goldschmidt.
I think Goldschmidt. But was your fastest recorded pitch 102?
Yep.
And to go on that, I mean, you got to face Goldschmidt. I think Trout, right? Goldschmidt?
No, Nolan Arenado, Schwarber, and there's one more I always forget. Maybe it was Trout. I don't remember. I blacked out that entire inning, in fairness.
Well, obviously, you went out. You pitched really well. Got up to 102. And I think it definitely started. I remember obviously, we knew who you were at that time, but other people didn't necessarily know. And I definitely think you made a name for yourself because of those guys that you ended up facing and threw really well against. So it was awesome to see. And I think maybe kind of transitioning to your big league call up, like, did that kind of make you go, okay, like, it's different? Yeah, like, you knew you were good at the minor league level, but then you go and do that and face those guys at that level on that stage and be like, wow, okay, I'm ready for that next step.
Yeah, that was the greatest thing that could have happened to my entire baseball career. And the funny part was that entire thing, I could not place a curveball. Could not throw it for a strike. Couldn't place it anywhere. In the lead-ins to it, I couldn't throw it for a strike. And I was like, I'm done. And I knew my velocity was up. By the time, I think I'd only hit like 99. I hadn't really jumped into the Centennials. So I was like, okay, whatever. And I had just gotten clipped in one of our preseason games against the Brewers. I couldn't place a curveball, so I was throwing fastballs, and this guy just took me way back. And so I was like, I can't do that. It was some no-name guy. He was playing on the big leagues, but he was a no-name guy from playing up with the spring training squad. And I'm like, he just clipped me. I can't do that to Trout. I can't do that. I'm gonna get killed. And so if anyone's looked back on it, the first like two curveballs I throw out, at the time I was throwing curveballs, not sliders, I backstop it, and I was like, oh, I'm so dead. Like the first pitch after that was 100. I think I went 100 pop up, and I was like, okay. And I went to face Nolan Arenado, and I'm like, I need to throw this. And our catcher puts down a fastball. I'm like, no, I need to get this curveball in the strike zone. So I throw it. It was not a great one. Belt high, clearly shouldn't have thrown it. And no one takes it because why in the world would you swing at this pitch? I've shown that I can't throw it for a strike. So we go, okay, let's throw in our fastball. And I go, no, I just threw it for a strike. Let's try that one more time. Another just looper straight in the zone. Takes it. And I was like, no way, 0-2. Reach back, fastball, up, by, and I was like, okay, I'm back. And like got through that inning. I even had a runner on, which actually really helped. I got screwed. Because Schwarber, I should have struck out, and they balled me on 2 balls that were strikes. Whatever. I am still bitter. I will always be bitter. But they ball me. He goes to first. I think it was one of the best things ever because then I'm now pitching with adversity. Like when everything's going smooth, it's easy to kind of just fade through it, still get through the inning, put up a 0, next guy grounds out. And I was like, okay, if I can face them, I shouldn't be afraid. I used to be afraid of when I was in the lower levels, I was afraid of AAA hitters. When I started getting to the higher levels, I was afraid of big league hitters. I was afraid of anyone that had big league time, all this stuff. And then after I faced them, I'm like, I literally can't be afraid of anyone. I can face anybody. Now, will I have success against everyone? Probably not. But there shouldn't be that fear. And so, like you said, when I got called up and it was a debut, I was like, well, it's just baseball. Like, just play. It's not, oh my goodness, I'm facing X, Y, Z. It also helped that most of the scary players were on my team, being on the Dodgers rather than against me. Yeah. But it was still, I'm like, you're facing your peers, and you've faced some of the best hitters already and gotten them out. So why are you afraid of who you're going to face now?
No, yeah, that makes sense. And kind of talking a little bit about your debut a little bit more. And before you actually made your debut, and some people, I guess probably people that don't know you don't realize that you actually got called up, but didn't get called up. You got called up, flew to Philly. Was it
No,
Philly?
it was New York, and
Or
that
New
was the
York? Yeah,
biggest
you flew
pain.
there as you thinking you're gonna make your ML, or at least get activated, become big leaguer, and they ended up putting you on the taxi squad. You didn't make your call up, and then so you got sent back on that same day. Flew up that morning, got sent back that night. Didn't actually get called. Did you call your family and everyone like, I'm gonna?
The first time I did, and you know what? That it still annoyed me because I remember calling. The first time was out of Sacramento, and that whole week I didn't pitch, and all my family had gone up because it was close. We're in Sacramento. I didn't pitch, and then I pitched in this weird game in like the third inning, and my dad's like, "Interesting." Like, so he starts driving back to LA, and they're like, "Hey, you're going up." I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome." So I call. I'm like, "Hey, I'm going up." Dad's fired up to call my mom. She's hysterical, crying, and I was like, "Oh man, this is awesome. This is the moment." People are scrambling to figure out how to get there. And then I get a call in the morning, and they go, "Actually, we don't need you. Sorry." So I had to call my mom and be like, "Actually, it's not happening." Then the next time it was going to New York, and that one ticked me off because I called my brother and my dad were like, "We got to go." They booked flights to New York. It was just crushing rain in the Midwest. So I can't get out of Oklahoma. They're like, "Hey, we're going to send you through Houston." So I get to Houston. I'm waiting for my connector into New York. New York's also getting pummeled by storms. They rain out that game. And so I'm sitting in Houston, and they go, "Hey, actually, we don't need you. Just go get a hotel next to the airport. We'll fly you back." They were playing against Albuquerque, so I fly to Albuquerque, just in a terrible mood. At this point, I just stopped calling my parents. Like afterward, I'm like, "Hey, I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to go." And my mom was like, "That's perfectly fine." Um, my dad was like, "Yeah, that's fair." My brother was like, "Okay, whatever." So they got to have a great trip in New York. I got to stay at a hotel next to the airport in Houston. Uh, I fly back to Albuquerque, and like shortly after, like, "Hey, it was on Father's Day, actually, to be technical." They're like, "We were in Sugarland," and they go, "You're going up, and you're going up with another player." And I was like, "Okay." And that one felt a little bit different, so I was like, "Okay, this time I think it's gonna happen." I remember like getting the car out from the airport at like 3:30 in the morning because it was a day game in LA. Fly to LA. They were nice enough to say, "Hey, we're gonna fly your mom down, like because of all the travel woes." So they flew her down. Everyone makes it to LA. I don't pitch, but I did get on the roster, so I got to wear the jersey, do all the stuff, and I was like, finally. I didn't even think about the fact that like you may get sent down and not pitch, and you never really debuted. I was just like, I put on a big league jersey. I am a big leaguer. You can't take that from me.
100%.
And thankfully, after a couple of games, I finally got to actually pitch. But yeah,
No, I remember it was a whirlwind, and I remember talking to you through it. So, and I can only imagine, especially like this is your dream. You're about to accomplish this dream, and then just kind of just shot down right there in twice. So, kind of from there, it's been a little bit of a wild ride. I mean, I think you, well, between 2024 and 2025, you've had 4 different stops with 4 different teams. Um, so you went Dodgers, Marlins, Atlanta,
just
Toronto,
Toronto, then
Toronto,
Anaheim,
then
Atlanta.
Atlanta. No, Toronto, Angels, Atlanta.
Yep, there it is.
And then back to the Marlins.
Boom.
So some of those stops were pretty short. What was that experience like? In the end, I think you ended up in a really good spot with the Marlins. You had a really good finish to the year that we can get to in a second. But just the emotions going through that experience of like new team and then getting DFA'd, and then another team picks you up, and 4 teams in less than a 6-month span.
Yeah. I will say, thankfully, I had the adversity throughout my career because I was used to this. I was used to being bounced around and all that stuff. And again, I call it probably like being naive. But I'm like, I'm still wanted, so who cares? And some of them made sense to me, so some of them didn't bother me as much. When I left the Dodgers, I was like, they're in pursuit of something pretty massive, and they need every single thing to work. And if they've used me for what they needed for, I'm done. And I get that. The Miami one, the first time I was like, I'm older. They're a younger team, made sense. Toronto, they told me like, "Hey, we just got Scherzer," and I was like, "Yeah, I'd take Scherzer too." Uh,
I guess they need that 40-man spot.
yeah. Anaheim still was weird, and Atlanta was weird. The the good stuff of it, in my opinion, was that one, I was always wanted. Two, once you've gone through your first team breakup, I like to call it, like whether it's because you get traded, whether it's because whatever the reasoning is, it's really easy. The first time leaving a team is so hard because you've made all your friends. You think this is a life. You've planned out in your head that you're going to be living in whatever city it is. You've planned out your condo on whatever river they have running through whatever city. Um, and then all that gets ripped away, and you're like, wait, what just happened here? And then, your buddies don't talk to you as much because in baseball, your friends on your team live in New York or the Dominican or Japan. And so, like, you don't have a reason to talk. And so then you show up to this new team, everyone has their cliques, and you're just new guy. And it's like, it's tough. But once you've done that, it's like, okay, it's not tough anymore. And at the higher levels, almost everyone is on the same page. So that part wasn't hard. I did start losing my mind towards the end of the year because I was just like, what am I doing? I hadn't pitched poorly at the big league level, and I just wasn't getting opportunities. So I was like, all I was doing is I'm like, okay, you're going to have to stay in this because you can't quit, you can't leave, you can't do any of that stuff. So if for nobody else, for yourself, finish this year off strong. Like, we'll figure it out at the end of this. But it did wear, it wore thin. It does suck because as cynical and as much of a joke as I can make most of this stuff, it does suck being told, yeah, not good enough to stay. And it's like, but I'm not bad enough to at least become a free agent and pick somewhere to go. So you're in this limbo of you're good enough to get claimed every time, which is a great place to be. I'm not trying to knock that. We're in this limbo of like a lot of teams want you, but I don't know how badly we do. And it's like, well, I don't know.
No, I mean, on the positive, you've never, every time someone comes calling, picking you up right away. So there is still, you're still wanting, there's still value there. If we look between you and one of our other trainees or athletes, Jared, I mean, you guys can make quite a good movie between his 5 independent links before getting a chance to affiliated ball and having to go to Australia to finally get picked up.
Yeah.
You getting DFA'd 4 times in probably 4-month period if we're looking at real timeline. But then you finally at the end of the year, you got your chance with the Marlins and you threw really well and you got given a lot of different opportunities between like obviously like a non-leverage situation, but then you ended up getting leverage situations at the end too and showing that you could handle that situation. So in the end, obviously it was a roller coaster, but you ended up persevering and getting to end the season in the big league. So that's kudos to you.
No, it was definitely fun. It was definitely a wild one to have to shift my mindset. A lot of young relievers and pitchers in general, when you get called up, you realize that you're the mop-up guy and you're going to mop up some sloppy game, and that's the end of it. And I remember when I showed up, went in, introduced myself as I'm supposed to. I already knew the manager from when he was with the Dodgers, and so I walked in, said how he's doing. He's like, hey, you're going to have a lot of opportunity. You're going to pitch a bunch. And I was like, okay, he's just saying that because if games get blown out, I'm probably going to pitch a lot of innings. I remember pretty quickly being like, okay, it's a tied ball game, and they're calling my name. And I was like, wait, what? And then it was, hey, it's the 10th inning, and we need a hold here so we can go and have a chance. Hey, you're going in. And I was like, okay, if they can trust me in this situation, I need to start trusting myself in this situation. And I started feeling comfortable, and it was an unbelievable, like, switch. Like you were saying, it's like going from, oh, man, I keep getting bounced, I'm pitching well, but I'm pitching a mop-up game that we're getting destroyed, and I'm going to eat 4 innings and get sent back, to, hey, no, you're not doing that. You're going to pitch this runners at second and third, nobody out, and we expect you to get out of it. And it's like, okay, and then you do, and they go, awesome, we need you for one more. And then after that, go, hey, you did a great job. You're still here tomorrow. Like, don't worry about it. You're not going to pitch because you've been banged up, and not just, yeah, we need a guy. Like, it was a really, really fun situation.
Yeah, not having to look over your shoulder every second.
Yeah.
Which can't be the case for that, last bullpen arm on the on the roster. So a couple last things before we finish up here. Uh, Looking back at your career so far, is there a moment you consider the turning point, and what would that be?
It's hard. I'd kind of put it at two. That one that I said I was going to quit after my third year in pro ball, and then after TJ, like going through TJ, really, my mindset changed to like I'm good enough because you always everyone tells you that you're good enough because they want you to keep working, and everyone tells you that like, hey, your stuff's good enough. All the coaches will say your stuff's good enough. But it was the first time that I actually bought in, and I bought in a funny way. I didn't buy in because I thought my stuff was good enough. I bought in because there was so many people with such worse stuff getting the job done. And I'm like, if they're doing it at what they have, how come I can't do it at what I have? And then it finally clicked. I was like, oh, no, it's because you can do that. You just have to actually believe that you can do that. Like, I'm not really one of those hippy-dippy mind people, but I do believe that like there is a power to that. If you're on the mound and you're scared of everything you're facing, it doesn't matter what you do, that pitch is going to get hit. If you're in the box afraid because you're sitting here going, oh, he's so much better than me, he's going to be better than you. But if you go up there and you're like, no, actually, what I have is good enough, and I'm going to get this guy out, your body does it. And they can feel that presence. I don't know, which I guess is exactly what I said I don't believe in. But I do, and I started believing into that where it was like, I believe I should be here. I believe I am a big leaguer. I'm not just lucky to be here. I am one, and that started during TJ. So I guess that would be the turning point.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think the mind is a powerful thing. I think it is what separates the guy. I mean, for the not 1% or point 0.0001%, the mind is what separates those guys that get the chance, in my opinion, and watching all the guys. Like, there's a ton of guys that have so much skill, but just mentally just don't believe in themselves, can't get in there out of their own way, whatever it is. And so, I think, yeah, the mind is very powerful, and you definitely have to be able to control it. And so it's definitely something that guys should prioritize, honestly. But with that, and that's kind of along those lines, last kind of 1 to 2 questions here before we get into our rapid fire. You have had adversity. You've had to fight through a lot to get to where you are, and you still are. And I mean, being that you're not on a contract, you don't, things like that, right? You're fighting each year when you show up. But with that being said, obviously here at RT and anywhere, we have a lot of younger guys. So what advice would you give them to, keep fighting, and just any things that you would give them about chasing their dream?
I would say keep doing it. Like, I mean, but like really doing it. Like if your dream is to be, it's gonna sound weird because like nothing I've ever done in my life has been a normal path or like a realistic thing. Being a Major League Baseball player is not realistic, but there was a realistic route I looked at. I'm like, this is doable. And because I saw that, I was like, okay, we're going to keep doing this, and we're going to keep trying. We're going to keep going for it. And whatever that takes is what it's going to take. You got to do that. If your dream is baseball, and it is realistic, like I hate saying that because it sounds terrible. Not everyone can be a Major League Baseball player. Not everyone can be a NFL player. Now, you can always work in the NFL, and you can always work in Major League Baseball. Your route might not be a player, but there is a way to be in the game. Now, if your route is realistically, I can be a baseball player, then you can't give up. And like, if you end up in a junior college and they're like, hey, you're underweight and this, that, and the other, well, then find a way to put on weight and find a way to still be good while you're doing it. Find a way to keep hitting. If you get to a D2 and you're not, oh man, I'm just not having a good enough season, well, keep doing that. Keep playing. Go play in summer ball. Keep playing. Go to indie ball. Do whatever you need to do because there's always going to be a path. If you're in the minors right now and you're grinding and you're just slogging away and you're like, I can't do this. Okay. What do you need to change? What needs to be fixed? Like, there's no point in giving up. Now, I understand there's also bills you have to pay. You have to have a job. You have to do all these things to do. But there's going to be a route. If you want that to be your job, you can do it. You can't quit. It can't be a summertime thing. What you're doing is such a small percentage. I think it's in any job that you want to be at that level. You're doing something that so many people in this world want to do. It can't just be, I work out and I go for a run every couple weeks, and I play catch, and I'm trying. It's like no, it's got to be something that you put so much time into that you can't fail. And then if you fail at the end of it, at least you tried. Like I said, not everyone can do it, which sounds terrible, but not everyone's going to be blessed enough to have the athletic ability, the skill, the everything else. But if you really want to be in baseball, find another path, pivot. And if you don't, and you have that athletic ability, if you were blessed with that, don't give up.
Yeah, well, that's great advice. Kind of last couple things here. We've been lucky to work with you over the last few years, watch you develop, want to go through these things. What has training here been different from what the things you've done in the past, term like a programming, things like that?
I never had a program before coming here, actually. I worked out at a gym with my dad, and I played catch with my dad, and that was enough. I can't really say it was enough, but it was what we did. It's what I had. Like I said, growing up, there wasn't many places like this that existed, and I just didn't have the avenues to do it. And so my dad is a hard worker. He was an athlete, still plays volleyball at his old age. He's not that old, but I like to give him a hard time. Yeah, so like he's always been an athlete. It wasn't hard for him to figure out what I should and shouldn't be doing. But I think the biggest part for me personally coming here is having actual baseball-minded people. Once my dad moved, he moved down to Southern California. I didn't have someone to play catch with. I didn't have someone to lift with. I like lifting, so getting into the gym wasn't very difficult for me. But I didn't have anyone to be like, hey, here's how your body should be moving. Come do this little motion that, like, I'm never going to do one of the like drop hip side to side kettlebell thing. I'm just going to go and squat. I'm not going to go and do banded jumps and all this. I'm going to run hill sprints, which I think is also good, but like I'm not going to do these little baseball moves that I need, and I'm not going to have baseball minded people also watching me do it. It's really easy to go into a gym, lift because the guy next to you is putting up weight, so you need to put up weight, and he's telling you to get your butt to your heels and all this. And it's like, but in your job, you actually don't need to do that. Whereas when you come in here, it's like, we're going to give you performative workouts. We're going to give you actual workouts, and you're going to be around baseball people. So when you have a question about, I threw this pitch, when you're out doing whatever you're doing, my arm feels like this. I'm having this soreness. I'm pain. Hey, so am I. Oh, so is he. Oh, maybe not him, but this guy has this that you can do to help out with that. Like, it's a good. I think there's a reason why a lot of people do this with their hobbies, whether it's a bike group or whatever. They bring them all together. This is our job. Doing it together and having everyone together just, I think, really, really helps.
It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think some of the most powerful things that I watch with you guys every day is, I mean, obviously, being on you guys talking to each other, like, this worked for me and this didn't work for me. We have one of your teammates, Josh White, and one of the Koenig brothers, where Ian's trying to learn a new slider, and Josh was talking about a new slider grip and things like that. Like, those are some of the most powerful things, I think, for you guys as players, like being able to talk with each other in the environment. And like when you're working on something, like, okay, I want to work on this. Okay, I'm going to pick this guy who had really good success with it this year. Like, what are you thinking when you throw that pitch? And being able to just have, bounce those ideas off each other, talk to each other. And, you all want the same thing, play in the big leagues, be in the big leagues. So you guys are all pushing each other and motivating each other. And then sure, the programming and all that stuff on top of it. But I think environment and that kind of stuff's really the powerful piece for you guys. And I think it just helps, you can hear stuff from me all day long, but then like that slider grip from that guy who's having success with it, it's like, yeah, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
It makes it more fun.
100%. Well, it's like any parent will say is, I don't have kids, but like I'm sure they'll say, I've told my kid 1,000 times to do this or do that, and the kid will never do it. But the minute one of their friends or a coach or a player walks up and goes, oh, you should try that, they'll go and jump right on it because, this guy's doing it. And you're sitting here going, I've told you to do that for 5 years. Why are you listening to him? That's the same thing here. It's like, okay, you have success, you're seeing people that are doing it, and you're like, I'm gonna do that. I don't know. It's
Yeah. All right. Well, we're coming on the end here. We're gonna get into our lightning questions, and so just quick answers. And so let's get that started. Go to pregame meal.
something light, just carbs normally.
Okay. Favorite stadium you've pitched at.
I'm gonna have to say Pac Bell or AT&T, whatever the heck it's called, San Francisco.
Nice. Favorite teammate, past or present in the bullpen.
Ooh. I'm gonna say a minor league one that I played with being Robbie Hitt, and I could add a big league one, probably Anthony Bender.
Okay. If you weren't a pitcher, what position would you play?
First base.
Best baseball movie of all time.
Bull Durham.
And last one. What one word to describe your past season?
Busy.
Yes, that's a good one. Well, Mike, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Obviously, I'm excited for the rest of this off season and excited to keep working.
Heck yeah, I'm fired up.
I know you're not a social media guy, so there's no social media to give out to contact you, but and that's probably much better that you don't have social media. But with that, thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys like the show. If you guys want to get in contact with us, you can always go to rossistraining.com and on Instagram, Rossi's Training as well. Hope to hear from you. With that, thanks for watching. See you next time.